Hey, what's up guys? It's Nico from Porch Talk. I just wanted to tell you guys, hey, thank you so much for your support. Really goes a long way. Sorry to interrupt the episode at the beginning. I just want to let you know, if you could leave a rating and review specifically on iTunes. It really goes a long way. It really helps the channel grow, really helps the podcast get to more people. And yeah, I love you all. Thank you so much for your support. I'm loving doing these episodes, and so is Marcus. And yeah, please rate, review on iTunes, and love you all. Enjoy. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Nico.
And this is Marcus.
And welcome to Porch Talk. Episode
Talk
25, man. This is pretty crazy. We're at 1,000 downloads. Happy 1,000 downloads.
I know, man. This is insane.
Yeah,
think about that.
It's literally crazy. 1,000 people have listened throughout all of the episodes. That's pretty insane.
That is really
literally
insane.
With that being said, I would not want any other guest for this 1,000 download episode.
Yeah. This is our like a 25th episode anniversary or whatever you want to call it. 1,000 downloads. So like we've made a lot of progress, and we had an absolutely amazing guest. Go ahead.
Yeah, someone that was close to me throughout middle school fell off and got reconnected recently. Her name is Alexa Davis. Literally sweet girl, but that's not what we're here for. She actually was talking about her premature child that had sadly passed, and she gave us her whole story about that. She gave us everything literally under the sun. We asked questions without hesitation, and she answered them. I could not have asked for such a amazing interview.
Absolutely, man. It was absolutely sobering. And uplifting, especially. She's a very inspiring and strong person. I really admire her. Happy to have met her.
Honestly, and the stuff she's doing now to get back on track with school and everything, and her future goals, it's just something that is crazy to see someone come back from something as tragic as losing your child. I mean, I couldn't even imagine losing Caden, let alone when he was first born. But anyway, with that being said, it's a heavy episode. If you're going through this, listen to what we're saying. Listen to what she says at the end. She gives some great advice.
Just in terms of like grief, if you're going through any kind of grief.
Any type of grief, or just what her process was like. Maybe it was somewhat similar to yours. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening. Here is our episode of Porch Talk.
On everything.
Yeah, the little ones, honestly.
That's pretty much my life now. That's just how it is.
How many tattoos do you have?
2.
2? What are they?
Okay, well, I'd show you this one, but I don't really want to show you my underwear.
Yeah, it's fine.
But this one on my leg, it's on my thigh, and it is the infant awareness loss ribbon.
Okay.
And it has Ollie's handprints on it.
Oh, that's
on
cute.
the sides of it, and his name's in it. And then I have this one, and I just got this one.
Oh, that's awesome. Jack Skellington and the Boogeyman.
As
Pac-Man. That's fucking sweet.
You're the only person that's guessed that.
Wait, that's obvious. It's literally a picture of Jack Skellington's head with the Boogeyman's head.
Tim Burton is my dude, and that's my shit. And
has been. That's one of my favorite movies.
Oh, I will do anything Tim Burton. My stepmom and I are talking about getting like not matching tattoos, but like related ones, and I want to be Coraline with our buttons sewed in, and she's gonna be the other mother. That was a creepy ass movie, though. Dude,
that was such a creepy movie.
It's one of my other favorites.
As a kid, like that was that movie that gave you nightmares, but then like when you saw it the next time, you were like so excited to see it more. You know,
I didn't have that problem.
Really?
No, never. Not once. Which is really weird because like horror movies freak me out. Like, and it's not because I'm like terrified of them. What gets me is the sounds. I can't stand the sound, so I'm that person that like plugs my ears and stuff. But like, those movies never freaked me out as a kid at all. Like, I loved them. I've always been that way.
I was really weird as a kid though. I got terrified with the strangest things. Like, anybody remember VeggieTales? Like the little like Christians like kids shows where like the vegetables were trying to teach you veggies. Yeah, those terrified me. Like I had nightmares that like, they were trying to eat people.
Oh my gosh, that's weird.
All right, there's 2 things about me though. I got bitch mouth, so I can't eat anything spicy. Like Flamin' Hot Cheetos, I'm crying after like 2 Flamin' Hot Cheetos. So
that's okay. So when I was pregnant, that was all I ate was Flamin' Hot Cheetos, Sour Patch Kids, and Rice Krispie treats.
Oh my
that
God.
was my lifestyle.
Mountain Dew, Doritos, Nutter Butters, Milk Duds.
I can't do Mountain Dew anymore.
Oh,
pregnancy ruined Light Pop for me forever.
But also, I got bitch mouth, and I'm a pussy. So anything scary movie related, like I love it because it's exciting to watch for me. But it's like I'm a little bitch. I can't.
Bridget used to make me watch that shit all the time, knowing I'm like hiding under the covers. All the time. I'd be like, you hate me, don't you? You low-key hate me. Like, she's like, no, I love you. It's why I forced you to do it. But I was the kid, every Halloween, that until, I got older and realized it was just somebody in a mask, I would run away crying from Mom. Like, she would, literally lose me because I would see somebody and I would run away, start crying. I was that kid.
That is freaking hilarious.
That was me. No.
Hey, well, now look at you. You're watching Coraline with no problem, and I'm still shitting my pants, so.
Good luck.
Honestly. So, going back to that tattoo, Ollie's tattoo. Mm-hmm. So, what happened to him? I mean, okay, I remember you posting on Instagram.
It's such a long story. So, I guess I should just start at the very beginning. Yeah. So, I was about 24 weeks pregnant, and everything was going fine. Like, you only do that month-to-month checkup until you get closer in your 3rd trimester. But I didn't get to my 3rd trimester. So, I went to the bath. I was at work. And I kind of was crampy all day at work, but I just was like, maybe it's just him moving or something, and I didn't think anything about it. And I went to the bathroom, and when I, wiped and shit, there was blood, everywhere.
No.
Everywhere. So I, of course, start panicking, and I, grab my manager, and I'm like, I'm bleeding. I am bleeding ridiculously. And if this ain't a gift from God, I don't know what is, but luckily enough for me, my grandparents were actually eating at the restaurant I was working at the time. Oh,
that's awesome. That's very lucky.
So they took me to the ER in Huber Heights, and from there, I was transferred to Southview. And Southview, I was probably in there for about 3-4 hours before they told me that it was nothing. They just said that I had an infection.
Oh, really?
Oh, it gets worse. An
infection?
They just told me it was an infection and that everything was going to be okay and that Ollie was fine. And so they gave me some antibiotics and told me by Thursday everything should be fine. So Scott and I go home, and then this whole level of pain just started. And I had never felt it. And I was like, it's just the infection. It's just the infection. It's just the infection. So what happened is that I was in this, I could not go to sleep. I couldn't get comfortable. Nothing was working. It's because I was actually in labor, and they didn't catch that.
That's what it sounds like to me.
No, that's what happened. I was in labor, but they didn't catch that, and they just told me it was an infection, and they told me my bleeding was going to stop, and it didn't. So I was like, okay, well, it's Thursday. Thursday rolled around, and I was like, I'm still bleeding. I'm going through a pad every 30 minutes.
Oh my gosh, it was that bad?
It was that bad.
Oh, wow.
And Scott was convinced that I was just hemorrhaging. And he was like, I don't know how you can hemorrhage when you're still pregnant, but that's what it seems like. So we called, and they were like, yeah, just get back here right away. So I went back to Southview, where they figured out I was in preterm labor. And then they transferred me from Southview to Kettering Medical Center because that's where the NICU is.
Yeah.
So they were like, they pretty much knew he was going to come whether we wanted him to or not. So, and, Southview doesn't deal with, I think the earliest they deal with is 35 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So.
And you said you were 25.
I was 25 weeks when I had him. He barely made it to 25.
That's insane.
Because I was 24 when I was in there, and that Sunday he was born, it was 25.
I don't know. I just don't understand how they couldn't catch that. I mean, that would have been my initial thought.
You know how long it took me to not to be angry? Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So.
It's just the margin of how wrong they were. That's
I'm not trying to place blame on anybody here because I'm like, man, this is not the way religion works, and you have to be a religious, nice person because this is how it has to be. So breathe in and breathe out because that's all you can do. But they gave the person that I had as a doctor wasn't it was a resident, so she was still learning.
Yeah.
So that could have been why, but I'm not trying to play the blame game. But that's the only thing in my family's head and my head that makes sense.
And also, it is called a clinical practice as well. So I mean, there may be those instances.
Right. I mean,
can it? You can't really put the blame on anybody.
Right. Exactly.
It's not like there was malpractice going on.
Right.
You know?
So, and then so I was in the hospital from Thursday to Sunday. Friday, they took me down to get an ultrasound done, and I had to wait in this room for like 45 minutes before a doctor actually came to talk to me. So the whole time, of course, you're like sitting there panicking because I was the only one in there. Scott wasn't with me. He had gone home to take a shower and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah.
And so I was like all by myself and like panicking and like, oh my gosh, like something's bad's happening. Like I've been waiting in this room for like almost an hour. Like, ooh, like no, thank you.
Yeah.
And but at that point you can't really panic.
Yeah, you just have to.
And it's the hardest thing in the world not to panic because you're just thinking like, is my kid gonna be okay?
Yeah, seriously. And once you start panicking, you overthink it.
Right, exactly.
Then you get stressed out, and that'll just make it worse.
So after that, they told me what I had was called a placental abruption.
Okay.
And that is when your placenta has a tear in it.
Okay.
And basically, it's just torn away from your uterine wall, but it's not severe enough to where they have to go in and take him out right now because he's still okay. But if the hole or the rip were to get any bigger, then it would turn into something completely different, which luckily didn't happen for me. So blessing, that was a blessing because things could have gone so much worse. But after that, I was basically, they were giving me these steroid shots, which you have to get in your butt, which are horrible. That hurt worse than the epidural did.
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding you.
Really?
I didn't even feel the epidural. Like,
oh my gosh, that's like complete 180 from what everybody says.
I can feel where they put it in my back, though. So, like, if I move a certain way or something, I can feel where they put it in my back.
You say epidural? What's the epidural? You mean the thing they put in your arm, right?
That's an IV.
Oh,
the epidural is like this like numbing medicine that they give you before you go into labor. So like it numbs you from like your like half of your body down, so you don't like actually feel the baby coming out.
Got you.
And everybody's like, my dad was like, I can't believe you got the epidural. And I'm like, I have been in labor for literally a week. Like, I am done. I am done. I was in labor from Sunday to Sunday. I am done.
Yeah, and the epidural gets put into your spinal cord, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so it numbs everything from the lumbar vertebrae down.
Gotcha.
So lumbar is the lower back.
Yeah. So, after that, let's think. So it was Friday. And they also kept giving me, which you could only have like 3 rounds of this, but it's this pill to help you slow down your labor. Okay. And it helped a little bit, but I was still contracting and really a whole bunch.
Do you know if you were dilated at that point or not?
I honestly don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
But Saturday night, it wasn't even Saturday, it was like going into Sunday night.
Okay.
Once that had happened, they took me into a room because my contractions just started to like pick up like a whole bunch. So they took me into another room and it's like 3:00 in the morning and I'm like calling everybody. I'm like, Mom, it's happening. Like, Mom. Cause everybody went home and like, and at that point you're just so tired and you don't know what to do. And it is, I don't know. I didn't expect labor to be like that. And of course, mine's, I don't want to say mine's a little bit worse than everybody, but like, I don't know many people who are in labor for a week.
Yeah, everybody's different.
Right.
I mean,
I don't know. The people there told me, the like hospital workers, they were like, you have a high pain tolerance. They're like, most women like at this point would have like murdered somebody. I'm like,
wow.
Oh, I'm about to murder somebody. You haven't seen it yet. Like, you don't even know yet. So good luck. Just wait a second. But after that, so my family came, and God bless my mom, because I thought I was going to kill her because I had this contraction, right?
Oh, okay.
And I'm breathing through it, doing what I have to do. And then she just comes up and grabs my hand, and she's like, breathe, baby girl, and starts going like a cat. And everybody was like, you looked at her with daggers in your eyes. Like, if looks could kill, she would have been dead. And I was like, it wasn't intentional. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but I was very thankful for my family and everybody who actually like came.
Yeah, really, it seemed like you had a really good support system.
Oh,
throughout
I
this whole
really
process.
did. I really did. I'm very blessed. and I still am very blessed for them because they still are sticking right by my side even through everything that's happened. So that is one thing I'm so thankful for, you know. And if there's one thing that my son taught me out of everything, it's that life is short, and then just count your blessings.
Yeah.
Live it to the fullest.
100%.
That is the one thing that I learned. But, you know, after that, so...
got steroids, got the pills, hard contractions.
Yeah, contractions were happening, and then it was like 4:30 in the morning is when they gave me my epidural, and I actually fell asleep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like I fell asleep. And
because you were so exhausted.
I was just so tired, and my dad was also like, I have never heard of a woman sleeping through labor. I'm like, hey, I haven't gotten any sleep, and that epidural did some wonders. Oh, and they also gave me this thing called Nubane, which is like something they put through in your IV. Best drug ever. Best drug ever. It just makes you so calm. I liked it. But, so, let's see. So, I was about 5 centimeters dilated at that point.
Okay.
And I slept until about like 10:30, which is, it wasn't even about 10:30. I slept until about like 10:15, and then my contractions really started to pick up. Yep. And they wheeled me into this whole nother room because I had to go into like a surgical room. And I didn't have a C-section, but because of how small he was, he had to be in a completely sterile environment.
That makes sense.
And also because of... they had like this little room that had like this sliding door on it, which is where they took him right after.
Okay, with like heating.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. It's like it's a room to help regulate their temperature.
Yeah, and because he was so small. Well, yeah, and he was in an incubator. Yeah, so I can't really complain about the whole like pushing part because it took me 2 pushes. It took me like 15 seconds to push him out because he was so small. I mean, and when he was born, he weighed 1 pound and 8 ounces.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean,
holy.
Super tiny.
To put in perspective, my son was, I think he was 7 pounds, 15 ounces, I believe. hopefully my my memory is correct on that one. Or else I'm going to get some shit.
It happens, man. It happens.
Yeah.
But, so
did they do anything with you after you pushed Ollie out, or?
They put him on my stomach for a second, but I wasn't like sitting up. I was completely laid flat.
Okay.
So like, and I was terrified to touch him because as I do now, as I have acrylics now, I had acrylics then, and they were the pointy ones. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna kill him if I touch him. So I like kind of touched him, but I also like, you know, like when he first came out, Scott was like, he's here, and I'm like, where? Because I couldn't feel anything, And then I was like, oh my god, I'm a shitty mom. Like, I can't even feel my kid. But then I was like, I was so afraid to touch him, and he was just covered in blood, dude. Like, covered in blood. And it was just heartbreaking. And then, you know, Scott was like, do you care if I go in this other room while I clean him up? Like, I was like, no, go make sure, like, he's okay. Go do that. And so after that, they kind of, you know, did their thing, cleaned me up, and I went back to the room, and then they put me in, you know, it's like the mother-baby part of the hospital. Okay. Instead of, like, the labor and delivery.
Yeah.
Maternity ward? Yeah, that sounds right.
Maternity ward, okay, yeah.
And, I had, like, so many people were there, because if you remember, I have a huge family.
Yeah.
Plus I have, you know, my step-parents, like my stepdad, like all my siblings, like Scott's family, who is also fairly large. I mean, he's got like 6 siblings, so like...
Oh my god, yeah, no, that's large.
Yeah, and like after that, I mean, and this sounds so terrible, but I didn't want to see anybody. I wanted like my mom and my stepmom.
You wanted your closest...
And that is basically all I wanted. That is all I wanted.
Closest connections.
Yeah, right. But everybody swamps that room, and you're like, I'm about to fall asleep. Like... Mm-hmm. Everybody leave. I didn't say that, but I was just like, whatever. So they wheeled me into that other room in the maternity ward, and I thought I could stand up, but I could not yet. And
because of the epidural?
Yes. Yeah. I went right down.
Yeah. You just plopped down. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's what happens when you...
But I was like, man, I think I have to pee. And they were like, when you have to pee, tell somebody, because they want to make sure like everything's okay after you deliver. Yeah. So I'm like... Okay, and thank God the nurses were there because I didn't actually land on my face, but I almost did. If they wouldn't have caught me, I would have been going down.
Oh my gosh.
oh well, learned from that. Learning experience.
So you're getting up, trying to go to the bathroom. What is going on with your son at that point?
I had no idea. I wasn't allowed to see him for about 4.5 hours after he was born.
Because of all the...
Because I had to get him properly set up. They wanted to make sure he was stable. They wanted to make sure that, all his vitals and everything was just okay, that he was generally okay.
So did they bring him back into the room, or you had to go to...
He was in the NICU. He had his own room in the NICU. And, if I start crying, it's okay. Just know, because I might do that.
It's all right.
I try not to, but I might do.
It's definitely okay. It's a good thing to talk about and to get off your chest.
But so it was about 4.5 hours after that, and they brought this little wheelchair in and wheeled me into his room, and they have this blanket over his incubator, because it is very important for them to know that they have to imitate the womb, because they don't know they're out of the womb yet.
Okay.
So they have to basically imitate it. And when they did that, so that blanket was over there. So I didn't get to see him until I lifted it up, which I was in a wheelchair because the epidural hadn't worn off yet. So I'm like trying to, lift it up. And as soon as I did, I just started crying. Like immediately, just like my whole face was full of tears, and you're like sitting there like trying to be strong, but you just can't.
Yeah, I mean you gave birth to that. That is a life that you created.
And I'm very thankful, because this is like the weirdest thing, right? But like they said that for him being so small and so preterm, because he wasn't considered a preemie, he's considered a micro preemie.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Because most babies, when they are born early, they're about at least 3 to 5 pounds, and that's still preterm. So he was considered a micro preemie.
Holy, that's insane.
Yeah, it was crazy, but you cherish everything.
Oh, of course.
It's weird to say that, but
well, I mean, even when my son was born, I literally was tearing up, because I was like, why did you're here now, and now you're in this shitty world, and you have to deal with all these outside impacts and all these different influences.
Right.
And I want to protect you from all that, but I know I can't, that type of thing. So, I mean, even with my case, I know exactly how you feel.
It's just so weird, but the people told me, they're like, for how early he is, he actually looks like a baby. Like most of them look like aliens at that form, like at that stage, and they were like, he's actually cute. They were like, he's actually cute. I'm like, thank you. Like, I'm glad my kid doesn't look like an alien.
Yeah. So you lift up the blanket, you see Ollie. What was going through your mind? I mean,
I can't believe I created that.
Okay.
That was my thing. Like, I cannot believe that there was actually a human inside of me. Like, and it just kind of felt like a whole dream. Like, everything just felt so. It just really did. It felt like you were living in a dream. Mm-hmm. And so after that, I was in the hospital for about 2 days after that, because they wanted to make sure my vitals were okay and everything, all that stuff.
Yeah. And
then I got discharged, but I really didn't leave the NICU that much. I would just, even when I was in the hospital, like, you have to sign out. So I would sign out and just go sit in his room with him. And that's all I would do, is sit in there. And after he was about 3 days old is when I got to hold him for the first time.
Okay.
And when you hold him, you have to so they it always worked out for me, because I always wear tank tops, So they would just kind of sit him on the inside of my tank top.
Okay.
And my bra would basically kind of hold him up, and I'd put my little, I'd put my hand under that, and then you have to be, the one thing that was you have to be really still, because he was hooked up to a ventilator, and he had a feeding tube.
Yeah, because none of those organs are developed at that time.
No,
Yeah.
and honestly, the thing that wasn't developed for him was his lungs, and that was ultimately, why he passed. But you have to be really careful. And one of the scariest things that ever happened was he wasn't even a week old yet. He was about 5 days old, and I was holding him, and my mom was with me, and I went to, give him back, and the nurses have to, they literally have to, carry him like this. Like, they have to carry him like this, with both of their hands, just straight out, palm up. And there's 2 of them, and they have to walk very, very slowly, very, very carefully, because if one of those tubes moves,
then
things could go really haywire. And I went to the bathroom after they took him, and I came back, and about 500 nurses and doctors were in his room.
Oh my gosh.
And his lungs had collapsed because one of his tubes had moved. And I was freaking out, and they were like, you can leave. And I'm like, no, fuck you. You think I'm going to fucking sit here and let my son struggle by himself? I will.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
Fuck off with that, because I'm not leaving. I might be a ball and mess, but I'm not fucking leaving.
Yeah, no.
No, and my mom was just trying to keep her cool, acting like nothing happened, and I'm like, a warning would have been nice,
oh, yeah, no, seriously, that would.
But she was just trying not to, panic me even more than I already was.
Then that would have made the situation a lot worse.
Right.
Everybody needs a rock, in those kind of situations. Someone who's just as calm as can be. So you need something to try to help.
Oh yeah, she definitely was. I don't know. It was so surprising because I walked away for a second, and all of a sudden I came back, and it was what in the hell happened? Sorry, my watch.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Hey, it wasn't me this time.
I know. Seriously, it wasn't Marcus.
I always kind of forget that I have it on. I got it
completely
for Christmas,
understandable,
and I still don't know how to use it.
It's just an Apple Watch.
Yeah, but it's got this walkie-talkie thing on it, and my stepmom will use it because she's got one, and she'll be like, Christine, and I'm like, I don't know how to respond. I don't think you can hear me, so I'll just open the door and be like, what do you want?
How old are you again?
20.
You talk about this like you're my mom. Her and my dad, they both got these Samsung smartwatches, and they're like, I don't even understand. Well, it turns? What is this? I'm like, you didn't even know what you bought.
I'm just going to blame it on my blonde hair.
Hey, do it.
Some things we can get away with.
Yeah, right. So his lungs collapsed because of a tube moving. They asked if you wanted to leave. You were freaking out.
Right. They just ended up reintubating him, and everything was okay after that.
Okay.
So he was okay after that. And then, let's see. So Easter, he got his first blood transfusion because at that point in time, when they're that little, they don't make their own red blood cells.
Yeah.
The bone marrow isn't functioning enough to where they can. And they, every day, at least 3 times a day, if not more, depending on how their numbers look, they take these gases, and that's when they take their blood, look at their levels, look at their oxygen levels, look at their vitals, all that kind of stuff. And they were taking more blood from him than he could replace.
Yeah.
So he got his first blood transfusion on Easter, and I stayed with him until about 5 o'clock, and then my mom and my stepdad came and picked me up and took me to dinner with them. And then right after that, we went right back to the NICU. Right after dinner, we went right back. I just felt so wrong. I mean, I felt terrible just for even leaving. But one thing that they really stress in the NICU, the nurses, they're like, you have to take care of yourself.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't take care of yourself, you are not going to be able to take care of him, especially how stressful everything is now. You have to go home. You have to sleep.
Yeah.
You can stay here, but it's not going to do you any good. Go home, get a good night's rest, and then come back. Make sure you eat, make sure you take care of yourself. It's okay. You're allowed to step away for a while. It's okay. Which was hard for me, but you got to do what you got to do. Plus, they don't really have a bed in there, so you can't, stay. I mean, there's a chair, but it is not comfortable at all. So, it's not... It wasn't too bad. They had you got your real nice bathroom though in there. Let me tell you what, you got your own shower, you got your own tub, you got a nice sink. It's a nice setup in there.
Hey,
I didn't mind it.
Treating you right then.
Oh, I mean, it's just so understandable. I mean, who wants to leave their kid in there?
Oh no, 100%.
So after that, really, and so he got his PICC line, which is a permanent IV.
Okay.
And it goes up. Well, there's a couple different ways they could do it, but it's like a surgical procedure. So it goes up through your arm and loops back basically into your heart.
Okay.
Like one of the valves
so it
in
helps,
your heart.
It helps with
And it's less infection. So with an IV, you have to have it replaced every few days to not have an infection. That one is just way less of a
risk, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So... And then that's how all his other stuff was hooked up because he was getting caffeine, and caffeine actually helps with your lung development.
Huh.
So he was getting shots of, like, straight shots of caffeine, like, his daily espresso. And, I forget what the other things were called. I just remember that one because I'm like, man, I need my coffee too, bud.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine.
But that's the one thing. That's the other thing is, like, so this is really weird because I'm in school for nursing. But, like, I personally, it's not that I can't stand going to the hospital, but when I hear IVs, it's like I space out on what's going on around me, and it just, like, takes me right back to the NICU, and then I'm like, oh, crap, like, I need to go outside.
Yeah.
I need to go. Like, I can't do this.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not even because I can't do this, and it doesn't bother me as much as it used to, but that one just, like, so when you're sitting there, all these different, you know, machines are hooked up to him, so they all make these different noises, and this one was for his heart rate, and the other one was for, like, his respiratory rate, like, you know.
Yeah.
And that respiratory rate is a good indicator of where he's happy, where he's not happy. And this, I mean, I'm not trying to call my son a little shit, but let me tell you what, it was like he was a prankster already. Like, I kid you not, like, he would start making it go lower, which is not good. And you jump out of that chair, drop whatever you were doing, and, like, peek up under his blanket, and he would just peek his little eye at you and close it and act like nothing happened.
That's funny.
Like,
that
he just wanted to give you a little heart attack.
All right, that's kind of funny.
Like, I kid you not, he would do that. And he did it to my stepmom. Like, he did it to my mom. Like, they all know what I'm talking about when I say it. We all experience the same. Like, he just want to keep you on your toes. That's it.
Wild. That's actually
so
wild.
Let me tell you what, them babies, for how small they are, they have a personality. They have a freaking personality. And sometimes you're like, man, I wish you were old enough for me to, like, crack that little butt. Like, but so let's see, everything was going pretty okay until then, and then so he died on a Tuesday. So Saturday, it was a Saturday because my grandpa had just come and seen him for the first time, and so we it was my mom, Scott, my grandpa, and I. And I only remember this because my grandpa drove the school bus there because he's a bus driver and he had a field trip. So he dropped off all the kids and went and parked the school bus across the street and came and walked in and saw him. And I was like, only Papa. Only Papa would do that. But so he ended up, doing that. And this doctor that I had never seen, never heard of, like, I absolutely have nothing good to say except for the fact that he was right, unfortunately. But he had, like, no bedside manners. And
okay, yeah.
And everything up until that point was going great. Everything was okay. He came in and was like, so, and I kid you not, this is the first thing he said. He said, so when your son dies, can we cut him open? Like,
oh, wow.
Excuse me? What did you just say? Let's backtrack because everything was going great like 10 minutes ago. So what happened in that time? And your jaw just drops, and
yeah, no, that's
my first thought was just start swinging.
Yeah, well, yeah. Are you kidding me? Oh my God, I would have tackled the man. That's
like a dickish way to put things.
Yeah, that's a very shitty way to do it.
Right.
Go about it at least.
Right, and like so, we were like, hold up, like what's going on? Like what happened? And so he showed us a picture of his lungs. And he said, when we saw him, there was no healthy tissue in there whatsoever.
Oh,
it was,
really?
like, completely scar tissue. And, that's when things really started to get serious. And, like, I just started bawling my eyes out. And then I was like, hold up, you want to cut my... At that time, he was 13 days old. So I was like, you want to cut my 13-day-old son open? Like, my 13-day-old son? Do you want to die?
Yeah, really.
Because I will kill you. I don't care if I'm going to jail. I don't give a fuck. Like, put me on death row. I don't care. Like,
Which is completely understandable.
You're not going to touch my kid.
Yeah.
Especially when you come in here acting this way. Talking this way to me. Like, Ain't going to happen. And then he kind of walked out and left. And, like, nothing. Like, we just talked about nothing.
Whoa.
Like nothing happened. And so then they brought in... That's about an hour later. they were trying to try different ways to improve his lungs, which was basically giving him different, like, ventilators.
Okay.
So they tried nitrogen, and they said they can normally tell if that was going to work in about 15 minutes, and it didn't do a thing. And then they tried to go back to the regular ventilator he was on, and it didn't help. And honestly, so what happened is that the ventilator is like a catch-22. He needs that in order to breathe, but if you are on a ventilator or you're on oxygen for a long amount of time, it works against your lungs. And that's what the scar tissue also helps with. Like, that's also what, like, helps develop the scar tissue.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what do? He needs that in order to live, but he also can't
live without it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, there's just nothing that we could do about it. So they switched him to this thing called an oscillator, which is softer on the lungs. It's not as hard as the ventilator he was on, but it meant that we couldn't hold him or anything. He could not be detached from it whatsoever.
But at that point, you were probably like, well, anything we could do to try to help him.
And of course, but it was like hard because you kind of, as soon as like,
I couldn't even imagine that.
As soon as that kind of came, I was like, man, things are not going to go the way I want them to. And I think, so, I'm really not trying to, but like, I didn't get into this habit, but I think what Scott did, and I think this is the reason he took it harder than I did, because, I mean, you don't take it easily, but...
Oh, yeah. No one can take
I
that
think
easily.
the reason that he took it so hard is because he thought he was coming home. Like, he had complete faith in the doctors. Like, he was like, he's coming home July 7th. July 7th, he's coming home. Like, nothing is going to stop that. Like, he's coming home. And he kind of just got stuck in this, like, fantasy land.
I was about to say, that's probably how he was coping with this whole situation.
Exactly.
He was making it up in his mind that, hey... It's 100% chance that he's going to...
Right. Like, you can't even think about him dying. But, like,
yeah.
Once the doctor said that, I kind of just thought, every day else that he's here is a blessing.
Yeah.
And my mind just changed. Like,
I mean,
Scott and I's personalities just completely, like, everybody grieves differently and everybody copes with things differently. But, like, it was, like, day and night. Completely day and night. So, Monday night, we went home. After they'd put them on that oscillator. So Scott and I went home, and we called Children's. Like, we called everywhere that you could think of to call to see where they had a good NICU. Like, and we were like, are they doing everything right? Like, did we miss a step? Like, is there something you would do differently? Is there anything else that we could do? And they were like, they all said no. Everything that they were doing was the only thing at this point. Mm-hmm. And that was our only hope.
Okay.
So it was kind of like, well, fuck, we're stuck. Like, but that's all you can do. I mean, I'm glad that we did call rather than not seeing. I mean,
oh yeah, yeah.
But even then,
it's always nice to get a second opinion,
right? And even then, he was on that oscillator, and once you're on that oscillator, man, you're just stuck.
Yeah, there's
no coming back.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started to be like, okay, whatever. So Tuesday came around, and we woke up and we were like, we don't want to go in right now because I had stayed up all night stressing. Mm-hmm. I didn't go to bed until about like 6 o'clock in the morning to the fact that I like stressed myself so much that I could not stop vomiting because I was like stressing out over everything. And I was like, man, I think I'm stressed, but what if it is a bug? Like, I can't go give him anything. Then I don't want to go in there like doing this because I can't be in there.
Out even more.
Exactly. So it was just a freaking horrible circle. Like, it was awful. But around like 4 o'clock, my stepmom called me because she sat with him, and she was like, Lex, and you could tell she was crying. She was like, you need to get here right now. She was like, I would never do this to you. She was like, you need to get here now. So, of course, Scott and I jump in the car, and, we're like going like 90 miles an hour down the freaking highway, like trying to get there. And we walked in, and his head was just purple and blue everywhere. I mean, and you could tell, his eyes were just, they were completely different. I kid you not. Okay. We're okay. We're not gonna cry.
It's not a big deal. Not a big deal.
And they had been giving him fentanyl because they knew.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, we'd rather him not feel anything rather than...
Yeah, him being in pain.
In pain. And so, our whole families came, and it was... This is the thing that breaks my heart the most. So I'd held him a handful of times. I'd held him multiple times. Scott never held him once.
Oh, wow.
Until the day we had to take him off his oxygen. And I don't know why, because I tried to get him to, like, one day I didn't hold him so that he could hold him, because if you hold him, like, more than once a day, it can kind of stress him out, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't hold him one day so that he could hold him when he got off work, and he just didn't. He didn't do it. Like, I don't know why.
Well, probably because he was nervous and stressed out, maybe.
And I that's the only thing that makes sense, but it's like, and that's what broke my heart. Like, that was the time that we had to say goodbye to our son, is the only time he got to hold him.
But you could think about it this way: at least he got to.
Oh no, definitely. That is a blessing. At least he got the chance. Yeah, that is, you're 100% correct. But so this day is kind of a blur to me. I remember it, but it's like
that's a very traumatic day for anybody.
It was a freaking nightmare blur. Ugh. So Scott held him for about an hour, and then I held him for about an hour before I was like, what, because they're like, we can take him off, hold him for as long as you want to. We'll take him off whenever you guys tell us to. And I was holding him, and I could just see him gasping. And that was the hardest thing I'd ever seen in my life.
Well, of course, especially it coming from your child. I mean, I could not fathom. I freak shit when my son starts choking on a piece of food, and I start literally freaking
about the Heimlich him.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, patting his back. I'm like, get that shit out of here. Don't make me freak out. I'm like, don't you dare make me freak out, because I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, right. So, he started gasping, and I just started crying. I was like, get the freaking nurse in here. I'm not going to make him go through this anymore.
Yeah.
I will not do this to him.
Yeah.
I will not. And it took him, my family and everybody waited in there. And, last couple of 10 minutes, I was like, can everybody leave? Like,
oh, yeah,
not because
course.
I'm trying to be rude, but can I just have, like, the last 10 minutes with just Scott and my son? And they were like, that's fine. And they left. And every so often, the doctor would come in and check his heart rate to see where he was, and making sure he was okay and not miserable or in pain or anything.
Big thing.
And I held him as he was going, which I wouldn't have had any other way.
Oh yeah.
But they were like, it's going to be more comfortable if he's in your arms rather than in that bed.
Mm-hmm.
So I took him. Well, I didn't take him, but I just kept looking at him I'm like, it's okay. Like, you do not need to stay here. Like, I'm not going to make you. Like, it's okay. Like, you can go. It's okay.
Yeah.
And it took him, which really surprises me, but it took him about 45 minutes to actually go.
45? Off? Really?
Yeah. I was like, that's why I was like, you don't have to hold on, buddy. Like,
yeah.
It's okay. Like, mommy gets it. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You don't gotta be strong for me. So, took him about 45 minutes, and after that, I don't know. It was like just a little piece of you died, and I'm still trying to find it. My bubbliness is gone. I used to be really bubbly.
Yeah, I saw that as soon as you were walking up to the door.
It's just gone. I don't think I'll ever get it back.
Well, I mean, when that shit happens, that's...
So, I mean, ever since then, it's just been... I'm not as bad as I used to be, but I am so, numb. I don't really feel anything. My tattoos, didn't feel it. Didn't feel any of it. Nothing. No needles, nothing. Nothing.
I mean, when you go through something as traumatic as what you went through, and you having to make that decision. I mean, that
wasn't even making a decision. It was either let him die on his own in 3 to 5 days or put him out of his misery now. And I wasn't going to do that to him. I mean, his head, I kid you not, your shirt's purple. His head was about that purple.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. But anyway, going through all that and having to experience everything you've went through from start to finish. I mean, can you blame yourself to being numb? I mean, go ahead.
No, it's like finding a new normal. So I kind of got into this habit with Scott where, dear God, I hope he never listens to this because he's probably going to kill me. But I never gave myself really a chance to grieve because of him, because he was worse than I was.
Yeah.
And I would make sure he got out of bed. He ate, he showered, he was taken care of. So we broke up about 2 months ago. And when we broke up, it was like, bam, right in my face. And now it's like my turn to grieve.
Yeah.
And now it's like I'm feeling all these things. And the closer it gets to his birthday, which is actually your son's birthday, they have the same birthday. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
The closer it gets though, like the more of a train wreck I am. Like I used to not break down as much, and now it's like, ooh, like I freaked out, and I'm still kind of freaking out about it low key. I cannot find his birth certificate, and I cannot find his death certificate. I have no idea what I did with it. I cannot find it. I was almost 100% sure I gave it to my mom, but she says I didn't. So I'm like stressing over it. I can't find it, and I'm a fairly organized person. So I know where everything is in my house and what I do with it, especially his stuff, because I'm really particular about where I put it. Mm-hmm. And I can't find it anywhere. So like last night I was like, oh, well, I can't find it. I just had a mental breakdown, and I was like, well, I think I have vodka in the cabinet. And I was like, all right, it's shot time. It's shitty, but it's true.
So I want, after hearing all this, this story of something that no one should ever have to go through, and I can't even imagine how you went through this. I want to just know what kind of a person were you going into this? So when you first found out that you were pregnant,
Oof.
Even if you want to tell me about your relationship, how that all went through.
Well, Scott and I had been together since I was 17, and he's 5 years older than me, which was a big thing in my family. They hated that he was 22 and I was 17. That was a big issue, but it was rebellious. I didn't really have nobody there to stop me, and so...
You were 17.
Right, exactly. I don't want to say dumb, but making some things that I probably shouldn't have done, but I also don't regret it at all because he gave me my son, and that is the biggest blessing I have in my life. So that is one reason I try not to talk bad about him. I'm like, things in our relationship did not go the way that we wanted them to go, but there's no fixing it, and everybody grieves differently. And
I was about to say, plus having that on top of everything. That
what happened is like we just turned into two completely separate people, two completely different people. I want completely different things than he wants in life, and I guess we're both doing things to accomplish them, but I don't know. Mine's more of I want the family still. I want to be able to provide a good lives for my kids. Like, that is what I want. I want to be able to own my own house. I want to be able to not work in a restaurant for the rest of my life, which I'm not now, but I don't want that. That is not the life I want. I want good things, and I don't want to ever have to stress about money. You know what I mean? That is Absolutely. My goal. But plus, I'm trying to go to be a NICU nurse because I've been through it. I've already experienced the worst thing I can probably ever experience in my life. So I kind of feel like as a parent in the NICU, none of those nurses really know what that's like.
Wow.
I mean, they see it every day and they deal with it every day, but most of their kids are none of my nurses for Ollie had been through it. So, they can relate, but not really. They only know how to relate in the way of workspace.
That's really amazing. I'm sorry to cut you off here, but that's really, really amazing and inspiring that that's what you want to do, you know?
And it's a little bit about the money too. They start out at like $82 an hour.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's pretty
banging.
Yeah, that's pretty banging. Not gonna lie, that's pretty banging.
So
and you've always wanted to be a nurse, right?
Yes.
But then this whole experience made you want to go into the NICU field, and I think that's one of the most amazing things you could do because you have that experience, because you can relate.
Oh, he's my inspiration for everything. He's my motivation for everything. He's the reason I'm in school. He's the reason that I get out of bed every day. He's the reason that I try to stay as strong as I possibly can. I have mental breakdowns every once in a while, but
understandable.
He is my hero, and he will always be my hero.
And I think that is beautiful because you have that driving force to better yourself, to better your life, to make sure you are set up to support your family. You're going to be family down the line in the future. And I think that's one of the biggest blessings he could have given you.
Oh, it definitely is. And I talk to him all the time. I don't know if he can hear me or not, but I'm talking to him.
Yeah, of course.
Man, I lost my train of thought. What was the question you asked me?
I believe it was something akin to, who were you going through this, your relationship?
Okay, so the person I was before was... I was very bubbly. I was a very bubbly person. I used to be pretty loud, unfortunately. Flamboyant. Sorry.
Flamboyant, maybe?
You knew me before. How would you explain me?
I'd say very flamboyant.
Yeah, I don't know what that word means.
Like very out there, very loud. And
yeah,
you
that sounds
yourself.
about right.
Nico had mentioned that you actually went to our school, Northmont, for at least a brief time.
I went there until my senior year of high school. Not senior, sorry, sophomore.
Sophomore? Oh, like all the way through?
We moved to Vegas.
Oh.
And you might have known my stepsister too, Kimmy Drake, if you know who that is. Okay, well, so she went to Florida. She's in Florida now. Everything for her seems to be going really good, so good for her. But we moved to Vegas, and I moved there in like April, and I was there for about a month, and I absolutely hated it. It was horrible. Maybe it would have been fun if I was an adult and could have done things, and I could I did walk the strip and stuff like that, but like you can't do anything. So it was like boring. Plus like my school got really messed up, so like I worked really hard for my grades and had like a really good GPA, and my dad tried to put me in online school, and God bless his little heart, I don't think he did it correctly because it messed up my whole entire grades. Like they were trying to make me do summer school in there, and I'm like, you're trying to make me take gym summer school in Vegas where it's 101 degrees right now in the spring?
Wait, time out. Let me just you said gym summer school on an online school?
No, it wasn't. Oh, it's when they tried to transfer me to another one. But yeah, they did try to. That is another thing too, though. They did want me to do gym online.
How?
I actually did do gym online because when I got transferred to Mountain, they had this thing that when I got transferred to Mountain, because I went to West Mountain, that's where I graduated from. My dad messed up so many things for me, but I had this thing called Odyssey Wear. And it's where you can basically skip to your classes online that you've missed. Yeah. And you just have to do it online. And it was freaking horrible. And it is why I will never take online classes in college, probably, because it sucked. It was horrible.
Online classes are the reason I stopped going to school.
Yeah, they're horrible. Right now I have a biology class, and it's like a hybrid class. So like my Saturdays, I go on Saturdays, and it's a lab, but the rest is online. But it's really not that bad. It's just reading the book. It's reading the book a lot, and you're like, what in the hell is a ribosome? Like
ribosome? You don't know
ribosome?
Okay, so I'm
anatomy fanatic though. I love everything science related.
Well, welcome to Lex's world of just learning, because we're just picking up where we left off. Because my senior year of high school, I did the CC Plus stuff, so I did Edison instead of my high school classes.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
So I got like a semester out of the way, but that was about it. And then I was like, okay, whatever. And then I moved out and got pregnant about 4 months after moving out.
So you're 18 at this time?
Yes.
Okay.
I was 18. No, I was 19 when I got pregnant. I was 18 when I graduated.
And planned or unplanned? Unplanned?
Not planned.
Not planned. All right. Join the club.
So, yeah, but you had it younger than me.
You are very correct. He was born before I turned 18.
Yeah. See,
so
I always forget that I'm a year older than you.
Yeah, I'm a youngin'. I get it.
It's okay. Bridget's the same way.
I know.
And it drives her nuts. But hey, she's living the life in England right now.
I know. That's what I'm talking about.
Bridget's in England?
Yeah, her husband got stationed in England.
She drinks a lot of wine, y'all.
Oh, well, duh. I mean, it's England. But
she's like, I don't like that I have no friends.
Yeah, no.
I FaceTime her all the time, though. I'm like, love me.
I haven't talked to her in probably almost half a year.
Isn't it crazy that she's married? I can't get
over
the
it's
fact
definitely
that she's married.
It's really crazy. We connected up a little, like probably 6 months ago, and we were talking, catching up and all that stuff. But then when she moved to England, it was so hard for time differences and all that crazy shit.
Oh, I don't care. I bug her.
Well, I go to bed at 7, okay? Like, I wake up at 3:50 or 3:30 in the morning. I legitimately, I have work at, I have to be there at 4:30 in the morning. So
that is not the life I'm trying to live. Not
I
one
love it.
bit.
I love it. I can't sleep. All right, so me sleeping in late is 8 o'clock.
Does Caden always wake you up, or do you wake up before him?
No, we wake up about the same time.
Okay.
4 o'clock. He probably wakes, his like time frame is like 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. That's his spot where he could wake up at any time. So, yeah, no, that's just the lifestyle. That's the way to go. And sometimes I'm feeling a little risky and go to bed at 10 o'clock. That shit's crazy.
Oh wow! See,
I have no comment.
I think I'm a fanatic because I get up. Let me say, most days I try to get up at like 5:30, get a good run in before like I start my day around like 6:30. I think I'm a fanatic, and then I look at Nico, and he's over here getting up earlier than Jocko Willink and like all these crazy people.
I was about to say, I was like, you hear all this motivation and shit about getting up at 4:30 in the morning, bitch. I'm up an hour before that.
Nope, that sounds terrible. No, thank you. I'm lucky. So, like, when Ollie died, like, this kind of fucked up my sleep schedule, but I experienced anxiety, which I've never experienced in my life before. I've never had problems with it. Like, didn't know what was happening. I'm like, I feel like my heart's going to come out of my chest. Like, what is going on? And I went and saw a therapist, which helped actually tremendously because you don't go through something that traumatic.
It's hit or well, it depends on the situation, of course, and it's hit or miss for depending on the situation.
I couldn't sleep when it was nighttime. The dark didn't bother me, but I could not do nighttime. I would wait for the sun to come up to go to bed because I could not sleep. And when I was talking to my therapist about it, she said it sounded like I had some PTSD.
Well, yeah,
because he died at night.
Yeah. So
she was like, that could be your correlation with it, but that's what it sounds like's happening. And it took me forever to get my sleep schedule back on. And now my sleep schedule's a little bit messed up. It was pretty good when I was with Scott because I'd go to bed and he would just play video games. But, like, I don't know. It's really weird.
Well, then what time do you go to sleep and what time do you wake up?
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
Whenever my body says it's time to sleep and whenever my body says it's time to wake up.
Hey.
Unless I have school, because if I have school, I'm normally up. Well, I normally get up. Honestly, I'm normally up around like 8, 9 o'clock.
Okay, see, that's
so
not
it's not too
yeah,
terrible.
That's not too
but
terrible.
Like, it doesn't matter what time I go to bed. I'm normally up that way anyway, unless I'm at Aaron's house. If I'm at Aaron's house, which is the new beau, I don't know. Sometimes I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning with him because he's got to go work, and I'm like, dude, you're killing me. You're killing me.
So I'm getting this picture of this young lady who's tied in sort of into Nico's kind of disparate friend group. All those girls like Bridget. What was the other one? Vanessa. I remember Vanessa too.
They didn't say hi to me the other day, and I didn't say hi to them either. But I saw them at the Yellow Rose. And Tierney.
I did. Yeah.
And Tierney too.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, I saw him. I was with my friend, though, and God bless her little soul. She was so inebriated. She puked everywhere. Oh, my God. She tagged me in this post on Facebook, and it was like, I don't know what song it was. I wasn't paying attention, but it was like the little inflatable man dancing, doing this thing. And she was like, this was so me the other night. And I said, yeah, it really was. Oh, God bless your soul. I don't know how she wasn't hungover, dude. I don't know how she did it.
So you said it was Tierney and who? Vanessa?
Vanessa, yeah. I think there was somebody else with them, but
they didn't say hi. They didn't
I don't
say
even
nothing?
know if they noticed me. I noticed them though. I can't really say anything though. I didn't say hi to them either.
Got you. It's a two-way street. I feel it.
Because like, you know, I don't have anything bad to say about them. They were never mean to me or anything like that. But like, we were friends because I was friends with Bridget. That was our connection. When Bridget moved, I had to find a whole new friend group. The only person from that friend group that I stayed friends with was Lexi. And I still talk to Lexi all the time.
Go ahead.
My older brother's dating Lexi's older sister.
Still?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. It's
Did
like
he
they're
move
coming
to
up on like
Alabama?
4.
Is she up here?
No, she's at BG. She's up
Okay.
north. She's up north. But yeah.
I knew that and I forgot.
Yeah, but
I feel like they've been dating for a really long time.
yeah, they've been dating for like
I also always
4
forget
years,
that you have
4
two
years.
other brothers.
Yep, Rocco and Enzo. But anyway, so you're getting your sleep schedule back on track, going to school, getting your degree. You're going for your degree at least. What road bumps have you gotten to now, other than the whole you're trying to help yourself cope? Anything really?
It's really just, it's day to day.
Okay.
Day to day. Because now what happens is like, I'll see something of Ollie's and I'll like just start crying out of nowhere. And like for example, like a few weeks ago, I found this video on my phone on Snapchat, and because I was going through and deleting all the pictures I had of Scott. So that's what I was doing. And I found this video of me talking to Ollie when I was holding him, and I went from 0 to 100 real quick. Like, I just started bawling my eyes out. And of course, when I do that, for some reason, like, I go through all of his things, which makes it 100 times worse,
Yeah.
but it's what I do. So, sometimes you just need that good cry. But when he first died, like, I cried obviously then, and the first thing I was like, I told Scott, I said, if you do not give me a pack of cigarettes right now, I'm going to jump out the fucking window. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about anything. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
That was my mindset. And now this is how we are into this horrible smoking cigarettes thing. That is my goal. I'm down to about half a pack a day now, which
That's good.
I started doing like 2 packs a day.
Oh
That
my
is where I
God,
was.
that is a lot.
Yeah, well, that was where my life was.
Yeah, well, and again.
And it's not good, but it's where I was.
Yeah.
It's just mentally where I was. I didn't really give a fuck about anything. Oh my God, I keep forgetting that this thing
You're
is gonna
fine.
go
You're
off.
fine. No big deal. No big deal.
Sorry. Oh
It's
my God,
okay.
except it keeps going off.
It's not a big deal. Not a big deal.
But that is the goal right now, is to quit. And Aaron, I do pretty good running with Aaron because he's also a health nut.
Okay, there
He
you go.
turned his garage into a gym and
Shit.
does all this shit. And he's like 6'2", so I'm like, the other day he was like, do a sit up, and I tried. I was like, I need you to hold my feet. I can't do it. It's not gonna happen. And anyway, so it was just how that goes. But like, he doesn't smoke, so I don't smoke when I'm around him. And when I'm with him for like a real long time, because I normally end up spending the night over there and then coming back in the morning when he goes to work. So it takes a while, but that is the goal, is to slowly start backing down. But
That's good.
I don't think I can quit cold turkey.
Oh, I mean, that's hard for anybody to quit cold turkey
so
on
stupid.
anything.
It was
on
the
anything.
stupidest thing I ever did.
I have one more big question. You can finish your thought here in a second, but when you're done with that thought, when the doctor came in and said, "Hey, can we cut open your son after he passes?" Did he give you any specific reason? Go ahead, finish your thought first.
No.
No.
It
was no reason.
no reason.
That's stupid.
We knew what was killed him ultimately was his lungs. He had respiratory distress syndrome, and that's what killed him. And when we went in there, his head was all purple. His head was purple because of lack of oxygen, which made him start going into organ failure.
Okay.
Which is what happens with respiratory distress syndrome.
Yeah.
So, no
That's-
specific reason, which was also
that's
the
even
reason that I
shittier.
wanted to. It took every inch of me, and sometimes it still takes every inch of me not to drive up to that hospital and beat some ass.
Yeah, no, 100%. Anyway, go ahead, finish your thought.
I think it was about smoking. No, I just need to quit.
Andrew,
That's basic. Yeah. The gist of that is I need to quit, and I'm doing better. So we're getting there. But I did smoke when I was pregnant, but when I found out I was pregnant, I quit cold turkey. Like, as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I quit cold turkey. And the way I found out was, it was a rough go.
Yeah, I was gonna say something about smoking, but that actually sounds a lot more interesting. Tell me a bit about that.
Like, when I found out I was pregnant?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So I was like 5 days late. And I was like, I can't be pregnant. I'm on birth control. I've been on birth control since 7th grade. Like, I cannot be pregnant. And so, are you guys familiar with ICP, like Insane Clown Posse? Do you know what that is?
Oh, yeah. You remember that? Did the 2000s?
I get down with it.
Did the 2000s, you remember?
I get down with ICP.
Oh, my God.
I am a big...
Please explain it.
ICP is... So, there's Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope. And then it is a very rough... It is a rough scene, man. If you're not into that kind of thing, then you're not. But it is a good rage. Pretty much everybody, like, rages and, like, does all this mosh pits and stuff. They get on stage. So they describe themselves as basically hardcore rap, like murder rap.
Okay.
They are insane.
Yeah, but way worse than that.
They are insane on so many levels, man.
At their concerts, they shake up... They're the inventor of Faygo.
I don't even know what Faygo is.
It's a pop. Oh my God, you've never had a cotton candy Faygo?
No.
Oh my God, you ain't living life.
I don't drink I haven't drank soda since like middle school.
I gotta take this back. Like there's a legit like whole subculture within our country.
They're called juggalos.
Yeah. You've heard of juggalos. Yeah. There's like a serious subculture in our country surrounding the Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Oh shit.
Dude, I can't wait to get my Riddle box
I
tattoo.
know.
Riddle box is my favorite. I'm struggling to death. Well, if you ever go to the thing, you'll understand why it's called that. But Riddle box is my shit. So I can't wait to get that tattoo because that is my favorite Joker's card, and I'm gonna get it. I'm getting it. My mom and my stepmom they don't approve of it, but I'm doing it. I don't give a fuck. It's my shit. Anyway, so they have this thing in Detroit every year called Hallowicked, and it happens on Halloween. And so Scott and I were. This is when I went through my pot smoking phase in life, and. Anyway, so, you know, we go there, I'm, like, lit as fuck, and I was very blessed that I didn't do this, but one of our friends had brought shrooms, and they were like, do you want to do it? And I'm like, And in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm 5 days late, and if I am pregnant, like, I don't want to do that. So I was like, no, I'm good. Plus, they smell horrible. Plus, all we had in the car to chase them down with was a warm Sprite. Pass. Thank you, but no thank you. And then I was like, man, it gets really crazy in there. Like, I don't think that I'm going to be able to handle what's going on with everything else that's going on. So, basically, also what they do, so they have, like, clowns dress up all the time. Like, they have the stage just run with crazy shit, like body bags hanging everywhere. Like, it's crazy as fuck.
Yeah, that sounds insane.
It is insane. That's the point, though. And, They have Faygo, like it's diet Faygo, but you leave that place soaking wet because they spray you with Faygo. Like they will shake up the 2 liters, and there's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bottles that they shake up and just spray. It goes into the cloud. They fucking throw them, man. You gotta watch out because you can get hurt. Like that shit hurts. Like,
oh my God, yeah, that sounds intense. That sounds
the
intense.
very first ICP concert I went to, I was very blessed that my friend Joe was standing behind me. But as soon as I walked away, like it was over, and as soon as I walked away, he got like hit with like 2 liters, like right in the fucking gut. It was I was like, I didn't even know that was coming. I just walked away at the right moment. I don't know how that happened. I just like low key dodged him. But anyway, so. I felt really nauseous, like, the day that this was happening, but I didn't, like, want to say anything, so I was like, I'm fine, nothing's happening. Scott has to work the night that we are on our way back home, and he worked 3rd shift, so I had to drive the whole way home, and I was nauseous as fuck, like, it was horrible, like, the smell of food was terrible, like, and it was, like, a 6-hour drive home, so, we were living in Troy, like, we had our own little house in Troy. And when we got to Piqua, and I was like, man, we're really close to home, but like we also really need gas. Like that light's on. I can't ride that much longer, even if it is like 10 minutes away from home. So I was like, fuck it. So I put like $10 of gas in there, and I was still nauseous, and I puked. I kid you not, I puked like all over the gas pump. It was fucking horrible.
Oof.
And I hadn't eaten anything all day either, so it was like... Anyway, so we get home, and as soon as we get home, I just immediately started barfing, like, everywhere. Like, not everywhere, but, like, constantly. It was, like, constant. Like, I basically slept on that floor in the bathroom for a whole day, and I was like, oh, no. Like, I still ain't started. Like, oh, no. And I waited, like, 3 days after that to make sure, and then I took a test when Scott came home in the morning. And he also smoked. So as soon as I was like, I took the test, and I was like, I'm just going to leave it in the bathroom. And whenever I'm ready to go look at it, I will look at it. If you want to look at it before me, be my guest. But don't tell me, because I don't want to know until I'm ready to look at it.
Yeah.
And I went and looked at it, and I was like, ooh. So I took another one and I waited on that one, and it came back positive. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, no. Like, I didn't even know what to do. Mm-hmm. I took like 5 tests because I was like, these are coming back wrong. These are coming back wrong.
Yeah, you're in disbelief.
Right. And then I finally told Scott, and his face was just, I kid you not, like mouth open. And then he threw away his cigarette pack, and he made breakfast. He made like sausage, biscuits, and gravy. And then about 20 minutes later, he dug a cigarette pack out of the trash can.
Oh, my God.
So, I mean, and he handled it pretty okay. We were pretty okay with it. It was just like...
What about your parents?
I was so terrified to tell my mom, and she was the most supportive. Honestly, the one I should have been afraid to tell was my stepmom.
Really?
Yes. But everybody handled it okay. You know, they were like, you're an adult now. There's nothing we can do about it. Like, you're 19.
Yeah. Well...
They're like, we're just happy you didn't get pregnant in high school.
Yeah.
I'm like,
well, then you would have. Yeah, I was about to say then you would have joined the club, because my experience was completely different. I was on my way to a soccer tournament, a whole weekend soccer tournament, and it was the only time I had both my parents isolated from my other family members, and I was like, hey, I got something to tell you guys. Like, this is serious.
How far along was she when you told them?
Oh, I don't remember. I have no clue, but. Anyway, and they were like, all right, what's up? Like, you sound like you're serious. And I was like, well, Brittany's pregnant. And first thing my mom said was, I'm going to throw up. She was driving. My dad says, you're a fucking liar. Didn't talk to me the rest of the time. He didn't talk to me for 3 days. I've told the story a couple times on the podcast, but he didn't talk to me for 3 days. And, yeah, I had to spend the whole weekend with that, so...
That would have been interesting.
Yeah, oh my God. It was an interesting time.
I was very lucky. You know, they were pretty much supportive. My dad was like, well, too late now, so all right, I'm going to be a grandpa.
I mean, yeah, after the storm settled, everybody was super supportive. It was just those 3 days. I was like, well, I just lost my dad. My mom, still up in the air. But no, everything went smoothly afterwards.
Yeah, no, you know what's crazy is I think my stepmom was the one, I don't want to say disappointed at first, but I think she was, but she's the one, I mean, everybody had those attachments, but I think she was closer to him. And not because I don't want to take anything away from my family. My mom, my dad, anybody, like, they all loved him, and I know they all love him equally, and I'm not saying that they don't. But my stepmom, when she took night shift, so she was there every single night. I'd be there during the day, and she was there every night, for like 8 hours a day. Like, that's just how we did it. We rotated, and that way everybody could. It made me feel better knowing that she was there too, because if something were to happen at night, I'd get a phone call from her rather than a hospital. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or if I started to panic in the night and thought something, I just felt bad, like, I could call her or, like, FaceTime her, and she could show me him, And, they also had this webcam in there that that you could set up. Like, you would have to type in a password and, like, call to have them turn it on. But that it only stayed on for about, like, 30 minutes. So it wasn't very long, and it wasn't, like, the best quality. But it was still nice to know that you could, see your boy or, see your kid.
Yeah. Well, if Marcus doesn't have any more questions, I have one last question.
Yeah. So we've heard you talk about, how your son is a driving force in your life, to this day. We've heard you talk about what it was like, getting there, getting, pregnant, going through that whole thing with your ex now, Scott. Talk to me about like while you were pregnant, like how. I don't know if we have enough time for this one, but talk to me about how while you were pregnant, your relationship with Scott, changed or stayed the same, or how that was really.
I don't know. I think things kind of stayed the same, but I really didn't see him that often because he worked third shift. Mm-hmm. So he was gone all night and I would work all day. So, we really never saw each other, so things didn't really change, but they kind of did. I don't know. I don't want to say we got closer, but we didn't get farther apart. Things kind of just stayed where they were at. And really all I cared about was food, if I'm being honest. Like, he lived like 5 minutes away we lived about 5 minutes away from his work. And at that time he was working like a CNC shop, basically. So like a tool and die shop. And he would come home for his lunch breaks. And I'd be like, bring me home a Rice Krispie treat and Sour Patch Kids. And that is what I cared about. Mm-hmm. I just cared about the food. He was like, I cannot believe you ate He said that he found, like, dried Sour Patch Kids underneath, like, my car seat from where I had been eating them in the car on my way to work. He said that is disgusting. And I was like, sorry. Didn't mean to.
Dried up Sour Patch Kids. Oh my god.
Like, I don't know. But things basically, they really didn't change. I mean, he was still really gross. Like, things made me puke a lot easier. Like, I can't handle loogies. And if I would hear him spit up a loogie or like, I can't even talk about it. I would like start vomiting because that was the worst. I can't do that. And like being pregnant and actually hearing that makes it so much more nasty. Like, I couldn't do it. That was the thing. And like, most people get set off by foods. I didn't get set off by foods. I got set off by perfumes and toothpaste. I had to start buying cinnamon toothpaste because the mint toothpaste would make me throw up.
Huh. That's wild.
Yeah. Well, that's what set me off, so.
Yeah, being pregnant will do that to you. My mom always would talk about how, like, with each different pregnancy, there were just, like, radically different things that would happen with her body. Like, when she was pregnant with my sister, she just needed to eat, like, insatiably. Like, she would be full, but, like, still want to eat more. It was incredible. I forget what the one was with my brother. I can't remember what it was. But with me, she sweat all the time.
Dude, that hot flashes are a thing. Let me tell you what. Them are rough.
Yeah.
You can't have enough layers on, and then 10 minutes later, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't be naked right now, but that's what I want. Like, it's so hot. You just go sit in, like, an ice-cold bath, like a shower, like, and sometimes that's what I would do, because it'd be like, I'm too, like, sweaty. But hot flashes, them happen. A lot.
I can't even imagine, man. It's rough.
Alrighty, so your story is, like, absolutely, I mean, I have no words to describe it. I mean...
Crazy.
Yes, crazy. Very crazy. But with all that being said, I want you to take a couple seconds to, if someone may be going through a similar circumstance, and I'm not saying exact same, but a similar circumstance, what would you say? What pointers would you give them?
Keep your head up, because the hardest thing you can do is dig yourself out of a hole you're not even sure you're in yet. Because that is what I did, and that is what led to my depression. Okay. Even before he was gone, like, I knew. And it's always good to be aware of the situation, because I think then you don't take it as hard. But you have to make sure that you stay strong, because it is the hardest thing to do, to take care of yourself. You have to take care of yourself, because you don't want to. There are days that you just don't want to, but you have to. And you have to think of it, rather it be anybody in your life that you lost, that you love, doesn't matter who. But think, seriously, how would they want you to be living? Because they don't want you to be miserable. They want you to be happy. I guarantee it. I guarantee you they don't want you to be sad. And they don't want you to be to the point where you can't get out of bed and you don't want to eat and you literally just want to sit in a dark room. Because that is sometimes what you need to do. But you got to take it day by day. And if day by day doesn't work, you got to take it second by second. Doesn't matter if it has to be hour by hour, whatever you have to do, minute by minute, second by second. Sometimes you just have to do it that way. And don't let anybody try to tell you how to grieve, because that is one thing that kind of makes me upset. You will grieve differently than everybody else. You cannot force it upon anybody. You can't force it upon yourself. You can't just say, this is how I should be doing it, and try to do it that way, because that is just not the way your mind and body and emotions work. I tried, and it dug myself into a deeper hole to where I had to literally go see a therapist, and that helped tremendously. That is the other thing I'd like to say. Like, it's okay to seek help. I feel like, Scott doesn't feel this way, but I personally feel like one of the reasons we didn't work is because he wasn't willing to talk about it. He wasn't willing to go get help with me. I tried multiple times to be like, maybe we're not communicating to each other the correct way. How do we fix it? Let's go talk to somebody. He just straight up said no every time. So it's okay. You're not crazy. Like, you are a human, and all they're really going to do is give you coping skills to help you. And it helped me tremendously. A lot. Like, a lot. I don't think I would have gone back to work. I don't think I would have signed up for school. I don't think I would have been doing any of that without professional help and support system. The other thing is your support system. Make sure the people around you are actually really supportive, because some people wanted to say they were my friends and were going to have my back until the end, and when this happened, they could care less. They didn't contact me when I tried to contact them and said they were going to be my best friends. No, I lost a lot of good friends over it.
But you probably made the strongest connections with the friends that stayed.
I do.
Yeah.
I definitely do, and I thank God for them every day. I'm blessed. I will say that. My family, I love my family. My dad, my stepmom, my mom, they are my rock. My grandparents, like, literally, my siblings even. My 14-year-old little brother, I kid you not, has told me that I look so much happier now than I did 8 months ago. They were telling me, like, I looked like a freaking walking zombie, basically, for a while. And my little brother, it's just so crazy that he's so smart that he can pick up on things like that, because, like, he's just like, you look like a whole new person now. I'm like, okay, good, we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Slowly,
step by step.
Slowly.
And that's all you can do. That's all you can do. Don't try to rush through it, because I can't even tell you where I'm at in the grief process right now. I know there are 5 stages, and I cannot tell you where I'm at. I know that I'm not in denial anymore, but I don't think I'm at acceptance yet. So, just, you got to be patient with it. That is the other thing. And another thing is, which I've never done this, but I really would like to, and I think I need to try it. They have, like, support groups for, like, situations like these. And one thing is that people will try to tell you how to do it. And it's like, if you have no idea what I've gone through, you have no room to be giving me advice. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this really applies or not, but one thing that I can't stand, and most people say it, and it's not because I can't stand it, it's when they always say it, like, they'll just be like, I'm so sorry, and blah, 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 and it's like, I don't want your sympathy.
Yeah.
I don't want the sympathy for what happened to me. I just want some understanding and compassion, and to be treated like a human, because, like I said, I did lose a lot of my friends, and I can't tell, well, some of them I lost because they were just never my friends in the first place, and some of them don't know what to say to me. They have no clue what to say to me, and I don't think it's because they're trying to ignore me. I just think they have no idea how to wrap their heads around what happened, and they have no idea what to say, so they don't want to upset me, and it's just an awkward situation for them. And it's not because it's awkward for them. I just think they just don't know how to go about it, even if it's not talking to me at all. So, and that's what happens. So, that's really all I got. Just,
well, like I've said this on an episode or two. I mean, talking about it is one of the best ways to grieve about it.
I agree.
And you coming on and actually wanting to talk about this.
I will always talk about them.
It's amazing, and I greatly appreciate that. Take 2 more seconds, plug anything you want, anything you're doing, any social medias if you want to. I don't care.
No.
I do want to say just keep it moving. There's so many. The thing that would make this whole situation, so much more tragic is if you just couldn't, and I really do admire that you're able to keep, getting up and keep it moving. I really love that.
Oh, thank you. It's hard sometimes, but you just got to keep going. I mean, if you're not, then what are you doing? Sulking, dwelling doesn't get you anywhere. I did that for about a month. Doesn't get you anywhere, but in a deeper hole. So you just got to keep going. Like I said, your support system is really everything. Having faith in yourself is everything too, because if you have the mindset that you can't do it, you won't be able to. And it's not because you won't be able to, it's because you just mentally can't fathom what's happening. So, just keep on going. That's all you can do. If I can do it, anybody can do it. The one thing that somebody always tells me, like, my whole family always says it, and I don't feel it at all, but they're always like, we can't believe how strong you are. And I'm like, am I though? I don't feel like it. Like, I don't feel like anything. Like, but they always say, they're like, we just can't believe you're just a strong young girl. And I'm like, thank you. Like, I just don't see it, but everybody tells me it all the time. So I guess stay strong.
All right. Well, this has been absolutely amazing. I'm just so happy that we were able to have you here.
Oh, well, thank you.
You were able to share your story with us. You're also our first female guest, right?
Yeah.
Which I'm very
there.
upset about. I'm very upset about. I had a lot of amazing female friends that I'd like to have on here, but I'm absolutely happy that we had you here today. So
thank you.
I'm just gonna say that I've been Marcus.
I've been Nico.
And this was Porch Talk. Thanks for listening.